Hello and welcome to today's Professional Development in Service. My name is Grace Greger and I will be your facilitator for this session. During this morning's professional development session, we will be discovering how the brain can use movement and exercise to increase how well it can learn in the classroom. So what are our learning objectives today? By the end of today's class presentation, you will be able to compare and contrast the 3 ways exercise can improve learning and design a fitness plan to incorporate into your classroom. For many thousands of years, our brains have developed while we were moving. In fact, our brains depended on this ability to learn while moving in order to develop certain skills such as hunting, building shelter, and planting crops in order to survive. Fast forward to 2014 and we no longer need to use our brains on survival skills such as hunting and gathering food. Instead, we must use our brains to survive in a new type of environment. It is an environment full of technology that requires our brains to be able to do complex problem solving and effective communication with others. As educators, we must learn how to incorporate exercise and movement into our daily lessons in order to prime our students' brains to learn as much as possible. Even though you will feel better and be healthier, the act of exercising itself is not what makes you smarter. Exercise is what helps to build the connections, known as neurons, needed in the brain in order for the highest amount of learning to occur. By developing more connections, learning can improve in the following ways. We are able to be more alert, which helps us to pay attention. We can improve our test scores, and we can enhance our long-term memory. To begin with, we highly discourage you from trying to learn while you are exercising. The ideal time to learn is after you complete your workout. The blood flow that had previously been redirected to other areas of the brain while you were exercising has now been returned to the learning center or prefrontal cortex. Thus, your brain is now primed to learn as best as possible on 3 different levels. Level 1. Increasing the production of certain chemicals in your brain. According to Doyle, exercise helps the brain to increase its production of the 3 chemicals serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These chemicals help us to stay alert, focused, motivated to learn, and have a positive attitude. In my opinion, these are all very important to help a student learn. The students in my physical education classes who pay the most attention and have positive attitudes are the ones who learn the most, regardless of their athletic ability. Level 2. Using exercise to help bind nerve cells to one another. In addition to exercise helping the brain to increase chemical production, Doyle states that exercise helps nerve cells bind, or connect, to one another. This connecting of nerve cells is what allows information to be logged. In other words, more nerve cells binding together results in more information being able to be stored. This is key to helping our students learn more and be able to recall it over longer periods of time. Level 3. Using exercise to help develop new nerve cells in the brain. Doyle also states that exercise is what helps create new nerve cells. The results are that the new nerve cells and the old nerve cells bind to one another. This is significant in the fact that it is thought that these new cells form longer-lasting connections between neurons, thus enabling the brain to store information for longer periods of time. Now that you understand how exercise affects the brain, we are going to focus our attention on how it actually affects learning. Exercise has helped to bring success on student assessments. According to one study performed by Salus, college-level students' learning of vocabulary words increased after moderate to vigorous exercise. A second study, performed by Etnier et al., concluded that 6th grade students who exercised learned a significant amount of vocabulary words compared to those students who did not exercise. In addition, Doyle discusses a school in Illinois that saw a significant increase to test scores as a result of introducing daily aerobic exercise. This same school also saw a 66% reduction in the amount of discipline problems that occurred. To me, this is a no-brainer. Students who participate in exercise increase how much they learn and reduce some of their pent-up energy at the same time. This is a win-win for both the teacher and the student. Just exactly how much exercise is enough? According to Doyle, around 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week is sufficient. However, in the 2010 report, The Surgeon General's Vision for a Healthy and Fit Nation, the Surgeon General recommends that children and adolescents get at least 1 hour of vigorous physical activity each day. However, these 60 minutes do not have to be performed all together. The 60-minute time frame can be broken down into 2 separate chunks of 30 minutes each, or it can be broken down into 4 chunks that are 15 minutes each. The Surgeon General does not recommend that the amount of time spent exercising be lower than 15 minutes at a time. Although any exercise is better than none, aerobic exercise is the best kind to stimulate learning. These are the activities that get you hot and sweaty, such as running, playing soccer, or tag. In addition, learning a new exercise skill, such as dancing or playing volleyball, will increase the brain's capacity to learn even more. Even though aerobic exercise is the best type of exercise to stimulate learning, it is not always possible to incorporate it into our daily lessons. Those of you who teach in the elementary school will find it easier to incorporate activities such as relay races because you have the same students all day long and you have much more flexibility in arranging your schedule. However, for those of you who teach 45-minute classes at the junior high and high school level, taking your students out of your classroom for 30 minutes to play a game is not practical. You have lessons to teach and you want to get started immediately. The thought of losing most of your class period is not a welcome thought at all. So, what are your options? If running your students around outside, playing tag, soccer, running relay races, or leading them through line dances is not an option for your classroom, consider activities such as stretching, yoga, and brain gym. These activities can be done with the students standing beside their desks or spread throughout the room. When my students come into my health classroom antsy, or if I have been talking to them for a while and I begin to see a glazed look in their eyes, I make them new. My favorite activity to wake up my students' brains is the brain gym activity cross crawl. The students stand up and touch their right elbow to the left knee. After the elbow and knee touch, the students switch so that their left elbow is touching their right knee. Once this elbow and knee touch, they switch back again. They continue this march-like activity for about 2 minutes. At the end of the 2 minutes, the students are laughing, are more awake, and are ready to pay attention and participate in class better. My second favorite activity is what is called the hookup. I use this activity whenever my students are rowdy and I want them to calm down. To perform this activity, the students stand beside their desk and cross their right ankle over their left ankle. The students then cross their right wrist over their left, interlace their fingers, and turn the fingers in towards the body until the fingers are resting on the sternum. The students stand like this for about 2 minutes and do deep breathing exercises. At the end of the 2 minutes, the students are focused but have calmed down enough to appropriately participate in class. I find this exercise very helpful to do right before a test or on a day when we have an assembly and the students are wound up. To recap what we have learned today, by now you should be able to compare and contrast the 3 ways exercise can improve learning and design a fitness plan to incorporate into your own classroom. Find the 2 handouts that you received upon entering the room today. As a table group, I want you to complete the Venn diagram by comparing and contrasting the 3 levels of brain development that exercise affects. When you are finished with the Venn diagram, I want you to personally develop a plan for incorporating movement into your daily procedures. When you are finished, share your movement plan with your group members at the table. Discuss the pros and cons of incorporating your specific activities and the amount of time provided for each activity. Make adjustments to your movement plan as needed. I will give you about 15 minutes to complete the 2 activities. Are there any questions before we begin? Thank you for attending this morning's professional development on the effects of exercise and movement on learning.